Bennu asteroid and its satellite OSIRIS-REx. Bennu asteroid. Bennu likely broke off from a much larger carbon-rich asteroid about 700 million to 2 billion years ago. Its orbital path is tilted about 5 degrees relative to Earth's. In terms of its composition, because of Bennu's resemblance to carbon-rich meteoroids found on Earth, scientists think that asteroid is made up of some of the solar system's oldest materials. These materials were forged in large dying stars, including supernova explosions, long before our solar system formed. The asteroid's materials would have been altered by heat when its parent body broke apart in the giant collision. Meteoroids that seem similar to Bennu in color or spectral properties often contain organic material, which does not necessarily come from a biological source. That is why they have sent a spacecraft called OSIRIS-REx to this asteroid. It will collect a soil sample, through which we can determine about what the Earth is made up of. The scientists think that Bennu asteroid is made up of the same particles through which Earth was made. Bennu is thought to be a rubble pile, meaning smaller fragments from the original large asteroid came together to form Bennu. Bennu doesn't have enough gravity to have an atmosphere. Bennu does not appear to have the conditions necessary for life as we know it. Temperatures range from a toasty 240 degrees to a frigid -100 degrees. Because there is no atmospheric pressure, liquid water cannot exist on or under its surface. OSIRIS-REx is the first US mission which has successfully collected a soil sample from an asteroid. This asteroid has been named as Bennu by NASA. On October 20, 2020, the spacecraft briefly touched down on Bennu. Bennu is more than 200 million miles from the Earth. The spacecraft grabbed dust and rocks from a sample site. It has been named as Nightingale. It was launched on September 8, 2016. The sample collected is estimated to weigh more than 2 ounces, 60 grams. The sample will be delivered to Earth in September 2023. Bennu is a potentially hazardous asteroid that could one day threaten Earth. Bennu could hit Earth with a power of 76,000 WWT nuclear bombs and create 20-kilometer fireball. The spacecraft weighs around 4,650 pounds, that is 2,110 kgs. Key dates: September 8, 2016, launch. September 22, 2017, Earth flyby. December 3, 2018, asteroid Bennu arrival. October 20th, 2020, OSIRIS-REx successfully collects a sample from Bennu asteroid. April 7, 2021, OSIRIS-REx completes its last flyover over Bennu. May 20, 2021, OSIRIS-REx is scheduled to begin its journey back to Earth. September 24, 2023, sample capsule expected to be delivered to Earth. OSIRIS-REx. OSIRIS-REx is an acronym for Origins Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, Security Regolith Explorer. The goal of the mission: collect the sample weighing at least 2.1 ounces and then bring the sample to Earth. The mission, developed by scientists at the University of Arizona, will give us more information about how the early solar system formed and about how life began. It will also help us better understand asteroids that could impact Earth in the future. About 55 minutes after launch on September 8, 2016 from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and after a boost by the Centaur upper stage, OSIRIS-REx separated from its Atlas V rocket and deployed its solar arrays. At 17:30 UT, September 9, 2016, the spacecraft crossed the orbital path of the Moon at a range of about 240,200 miles, that is 386,500 kilometers. 3 days later, it was in orbit around the Sun. Beginning on September 19, 2016, the mission team activated all of its scientific instruments. On December 28, 2016, it fired the main engine to position. A second firing, the first to use the spacecraft's attitude control system ACS thrusters. On August 25, 2017, the further sharpened its trajectory by changing the velocity by about 19 inches, 47.9 centimeters per second. About a month later, on September 22, 2017, OSIRIS-REx passed Earth. During the encounter, the spacecraft took several high-resolution pictures of Earth, and Moon. The spacecraft got its first glimpse of Bennu in August 2018, sending back a grainy image taken at a distance of about 1.4 million miles, that is 2.3 million kilometers. In early November 2018, OSIRIS-REx sent back detailed images showing the asteroid's shape and some surface features. After arriving at Bennu on December 3, 2018, OSIRIS-REx mapped the asteroid in detail while the mission team searched for a safe sample collection site. One of the biggest challenges was that Bennu has an extremely rocky surface with hazardous boulders. After a year, the mission team selected a sample site called Nightingale, which is located in a northern crater that is 460 feet, 140 meters wide. On October 28, 2020, OSIRIS-REx unfurled its robotic arm and in a first for NASA, briefly touched down on asteroid Bennu to collect dust and pebbles from its surface in a maneuver known as touch and go or TAG. 2 days later, the mission team received images that confirmed the spacecraft had collected at least 2 ounces of Bennu's surface material. On October 28, 2020, the mission team sent commands to the spacecraft instructing it to close the sample return capsule. On April 7, 2021, OSIRIS-REx completed its last flyover over Bennu and started slowly drifting away from the asteroid. During the flyby, OSIRIS-REx imaged Bennu for 5.9 hours, covering more than a full rotation of the asteroid. It flew within 2.1 miles, that is 3.5 kilometers of Bennu's surface, the closest since the TAG sample collection event. On September 24, 2023, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft will approach Earth, but it won't land. Surprised? Instead, it will release the capsule carrying the asteroid sample for a parachute landing. The main spacecraft will continue on to orbit the Sun. The sample capsule will deploy its parachute at an altitude of about 1.9 miles, bringing it in for a soft landing at the Utah Test and Training Range about 80 miles west of Salt Lake City, Utah. The capsule will be sent to Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. After about 6 months, NASA will distribute parts of the sample to research groups around the world. A portion of the sample will also be stored at a secure location in New Mexico. As for the spacecraft, depending on the amount of fuel remaining and other factors, OSIRIS-REx may be reassigned to other exploration duties, but it will be no longer able to collect samples.
Hey there, a small message from Tip Top Facts. If you're watching this right now, then you watched the video till the end. Thank you. Please hit those like, share and subscribe buttons for us. See you next time. Bye.